It'd be indecision.
Say it again, sir.
I said indecision. Probably some
Well,
indecision.
yeah, but there's a word I'm looking for here.
Okay.
It could signify that I have a version of divergence here. Even though the candle is bullish, but because this wick is displaying some indecision here, and you said indecision, but I'm looking more for something more concrete. That's why I said there could be a versions here of divergence. Just like if I would see the histogram here, if it started pulling away, or the upper move, or the volume and the upper movement started to dissipate, we could have a versions of divergence here as well, right? But it's on the candle itself. So if it's on the candle itself, then I'm probably see. Okay, yo, look, we established last week that we believe that there is more anxiety. People flip out at areas like this. Yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Do I stay in? Do I get out? What do I do? Do I set a trailer stop? Now, if I'm in this, let's say I got in here, and I'm in this here, then I am certainly at this point. My number one job is what is to secure the secure profits. So if I did get in here, if I did get in here, right? If I did get in here and I came up along to yesterday's high and then I had a candle like this, then yes, I want to secure profits. I want to go ahead and put in my trailing stop. Okay. So, but I want to take a look at the momentum. And remember, every move we make, we want to do with purpose. My purpose for going to the momentum is number one, is to see if that momentum is flat. And also to check and see, is there an element of divergence on the momentum? So I'm going to go to the momentum here. And sure enough, there him is, flat. There's a slight upper movement here, but him is flat. The RSI is flat. And the stochastic is starting to overperform. So here's the current candle, right? Got to a point and then it. So, okay. If you look at the candle versus the histogram, right? Remember, we could tell we have remember the other side of the definition of divergence is when something is taking away. So the very definition of, or the explanation of the acronym in MACD is moving average conversions diversions. So if we're looking at the candle here, this could be a perfect example of divergence on the side of divergence where we're seeing something being taken away. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? If you don't understand, this is the perfect time to ask.
Uh, I guess what's um, throwing a curve at me right now is, the candle is still very new. It's the 8 o'clock candle. And, do I just wait for a little while to see what happens.
Well, okay. So let's say go back to our previous scenario where we're in the trade and we see if we see in the doji, which this is forming to be, then we know what we know that money is leaving this particular pair, right?
Yes,
Okay, so we see some profit taking here. So just like you would see a decrease in the histogram, we're looking at this in the candle sense doing the same thing. So you're concerned about, well, this is still a young candle. Okay. If I'm in the trade and it's at yesterday's high and I see this candle, well, I'm going ahead and if my number one job is to secure pips, then I'm going to secure the pips that I have by putting in a trailing stop because this candle is displaying diversions. Now, I know that's not what we've talked about in the past, and I told you there are a whole lot of things that I have not revealed just because I think we need fundamentals. But this is a perfect example of divergence as it pertains to an example or comparison to the histogram, as we know divergence on the other side to be. Now, let's say on the other side, let's go back to the chart. We'll go back. We'll do the EMA chart. So we go ahead and put back our horizontal. So let's say now we say I'm not in the trade. Let's go with this scenario. And your concern would be, do I wait because this is a fairly young candle? You damn right you wait. Because I am not in the business, and neither are you, of losing money. Right now, it costs me absolutely nothing to wait on this dude. There is no risk to my money waiting on him to get his life right as a candle. Right? So I have no risk involved waiting. So if my number one thing is I like trading gold in space, do I have space right now? Do I?
No.
No, absolutely. I do not. Now, this also goes back into the face of the lesson last week, which we started last Sunday. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, that was a great week of class. So here I am. So what do we know here as it pertains to price with gold at the moment? What do we know for sure? No speculation, no nothing. It is unarguable. It is a fact. What do we know about gold at the moment?
It is currently sitting in an area of rejection.
Okay, it's sitting in an area of rejection, but that's low hanging fruit. Come on, I want you to stretch. What else do we know for sure? I mean, what you said we know for sure, but what is the ooh na na about this? All right. Gold is currently at 35, 34 and change. We know that gold is at an all-time high. at what it seems to be rejection. So the very idea, knowing that fact, I am not even concerned what this thing does unless it does one of two things. Number one, A, breaks through here, or number two, establishes itself as this is a point of rejection, and I am looking for an entry on the other way around. If in fact I like trading gold in space, the next time I trade gold might not be until price reaches here. But that's not a lot of space. But that's the most space it will have on the way down. So I'm probably not trading gold on the downward movement, maybe for a while. Why? Because of all of the structure on the way back. You understand what I'm saying, Richard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if you gotta wait, you gotta wait.
Yeah. My other question, in looking at this, do you consider that 4 o'clock candle in a doji?
The one before it. I
Yes.
mean, I you could look in the Candlestick Bible, and they probably have a name for that candle, and a doji probably wouldn't be it.
And I was looking at my cue cards at what they give me as I keep my little cue cards, and it looks so close. Their doji looks so close to the shape of that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm saying that, if you're considering that Adobe, then you could potentially be looking at a stop sign.
Okay, now
Which definitely,
remember the stop sign is two tweezers.
okay, so,
So
but,
I would have to get two of these
okay,
in order for that to be a stop sign. But I like where you're thinking,
okay,
because of the fact that now if I have here to a stop sign here, then I'm looking at this as possibly being an area of rejection. And then I have to establish where am I going to get in. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm doing an assessment on this trade, right? If I'm looking at what do I do coming back on the way back, then the first thing I'm looking for is flat bottoms or flat tops. Flat bottoms or flat tops. This is a tiny, tiny little dude here, but him is the only flat top here. So I have to mark it. Even though he's a little dude, I still have to acknowledge it. Not saying that it's going to impede the movement on the downward movement, but it sure is funny that this dude is sitting right here on the 4-hour support. Right?
right,
So now I have to look at this, and if I want some immediate help, if this is going to be a reversal, I want to look at the 15-minute. And the 15-minute has a bearish candle here. So the 15-minute has a bearish candle currently. This is the 8 o'clock. No, this is the 8:15 candle. Then I'm going to go back to the 4-hour, and I am going to wait to 8:30. Why am I waiting to 8:30? Because there's going to be another candle on the 15-minute at 8:30. And if that dude is bearish, then it's possible this could be an area of rejection. Now, the 15-minute, what it is doing is giving me, possibly, not every time it does this, but possibly it's giving me a look into the future. And if it's giving me a look into the future, especially if I see that second bearish candle, then I know that right now the upper movement is a halt here. Because now these numbers don't matter at all. These numbers don't matter at all, even though hang on. Even though, God, even though I have a clear amount of space here. But what's king?
Price.
Price is
Right.
king all day, every day. Price can never be overthrown by anything. However, you cannot argue with the fact that the trend line is saying, hey, there's some volume. So the trend line is matching what the ADX says about volume and what the RSI says about the measurement of momentum as it pertains to this pair. In this case, it's gold USD.
Does that also include the signal and the histogram? MACD?
Well, yeah, it does. This is measuring the volume here. Yes, but these two things here are telling me that money is present. This does too, but if you think about what these both do, because the ADX is a true measurement of a trend. Remember we talked about the trend at the end of the week? This is a true measurement to let me believe that I have a trend. Obviously I do, because I have an element of rejection here with this consolidation, but I have a trend here. For sure.
But could this possibly is also a setup for a retest?
Well, that's early. But I mean, yeah, of course. Because if price does reject here and hit the line and reject it, yeah. But I'm not thinking retest as of yet, because price is too far away. And the reason why I'm not thinking retest at the moment here, because of the fact that the RSI is at 68 and the ADX, the volume portion of it is at 48.3. I'm also looking at, going back, looking at the histogram, how it's exceeding the signal. But at the same time, we did look at the 15-minute and see that we have a bearish candle going the opposite direction, which in fact would explain our friend here. We have rejection on the 15-minute. It is showing here in the candle. So I'm not me personally, retest didn't even enter my analysis. You feel me on that?
Yes, sir.
The other thing here is the 15 and the 5. I'm sorry, the 13 and the 5 are surely increasing in volume. Because if you look here at this consolidation, and then you see here, and you see these two things get wider apart. So everything, every measurement you wanna think of that's present here on this chart is telling me that there's a possibility that price could keep going. And the only thing that has me pausing is price itself and that bearish candle on the 15. Now, it's 8:31. Let's look at the 15-minute. And see here? Here is the candle, the 8:30 candle. Now I have indecision because now I have consolidation here on the 15-minute. Let's look at the 30-minute and almost the same look. Matter of fact, a little stronger move on the 30-minute. Now, looking down here, I do have divergence here, right? And I don't care that much about that because that's on the 15-minute and that's not what I come here for. But I did notice it. I go back to the 4-hour, and now, God dog, I gotta draw all this shit again. I gotta look at the momentum. Now I have the red over the green in the RSI. So the RSI is saying, hey, that this is moving in a downward, it's going to move into a downward movement. But I still have, although I have the slightly movement up on the momentum, it's still not telling me, hey, I should be looking for an entry yet. So I can't officially say divergence. Well, yeah, I can. There's divergence here because the RSI is hinting toward a downward movement. So this is why, let's go back here. Do all this shit again. No big deal. Okay. So we see divergence on the momentum. This also equates to this candle with a slight piece of divergence. Although you can see here that this candle is getting a little stronger as it pertains to the first 30 minutes of this period. So, if that's the case, and I'm not in the trade, then I'm just rocking steady. Y'all, I want to switch to AUD JPY for a second. We don't have any news going on right now, do we? Do we have any news going on right now?
Yes.
We do.
Yes, we do.
AUD news? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Did your trade activate, Kim?
I couldn't trade it getting home.
Oh, okay. So while we're looking to entertain, maybe, looking at this in the news. So let's talk about geopolitics for a minute. So what was it? What do you think the most interesting picture of the weekend was? From a geopolitical standpoint, what was the most interesting picture? Anybody want to share what they thought the most interesting geopolitical picture was over the weekend?
Oh yeah. South Korea, India, China.
now, now look here. North Koreans, South Koreans, Indians, and Russia. Up until a few months ago, the collective really didn't like each other. Now, there's some friends in here, but one of the news announcers said, India's going like, all right, Trump, you want to start this shit with me? I got other friends. That's what the guys basically, his words weren't that, coarse, but that's basically what he was saying. I showed up, you showed up at at this dude's house and y'all all shaking hands. You know what it reminded me of, Eric? It reminded me when the mob families got together. I don't like you, you don't like me, but the one thing that we do like together is we don't like anybody messing with our money.
Yes, sir.
So what did Russia do over the last few days? Increase hostile aggressions in Ukraine. Just to give the middle finger to the US, going like, hey, you know what? You ain't running shit. And then a couple of weeks, before all of that, he's telling India, well, I'm getting ready to put these tariffs on your ass. Oh, yeah? Oh, okay. All right. I don't have to do business with you. And who do you think the head of that clan is? Anybody want to take a guess? Who do you think the head of that clan is?
Oh, it may be all about perception. You know, it's one of two.
Well,
Where's
I
my
think
man?
it's China because they're the
Yeah.
ones in that group that with all the money.
Mm-hmm.
Russia's going broke fighting this war. But they're still players, and the only reason why they're players economically because of their oil. But if like someone said, if they wanted to put sanctions on Russia, well, China don't give a shit about sanctions. I'm gonna do business with them anyway. And your relationship is so foul across the world, people are going like they'll do business with me anyway. Could you imagine if China did a import car deal with Europe? Or India and China decided they wanted to be friends, even though they're beefing right now over territorial borders, they would, hey, you know what? Let's get this money. We'll talk about this border shit later. Let's get this money. Meanwhile, back in the U.S., debt is increasing, and it was supposed to be decreasing, but it's increasing. And what are they going to do? They're not going to raise revenue. They're just going to print more money. And the only thing I can tell you guys is you better pull your head out of your asses about evaluating crypto and understanding what it is and how can it benefit me. Because if you don't understand that, you're going to get stuck in this thing where hundreds of other 100 million other U.S. residents are going to get stuck one day, that the dollar will crash. It is inevitable. When the GDP is 80 to 85% debt, if debt is 80 to 85% of the GDP, you got a problem. We talked about this back in 2016, 2017. But when you start cutting, revenue and not being physically responsible, do you know if the top half of 1% paid the taxes they owed, we could get rid of hunger and homelessness in this country. But see, there's no money in it, so why would they do it? But it's not just us; it's people all over the world. There's a part of Houston where you go down and they have housing for veterans, and some of these brothers, they need to have mental health over there too. And I think they have a mental health program. I think it's shit, but I think they do. And over there, you got former SEALs and Deltas, special operators over there, homeless, and some of the most dangerous people walking the earth are over there. But because they're out of sight, out of mind, nobody wants to talk about it. Kim, I don't think this thing is moving anymore. Oh, but what'd you say?
Looks like it's probably pulling back now. News is probably over now. I don't know what the results were.
Yeah. It is. Let me go back to gold here for a minute. Let me go back and look at this on the 15-minute. Okay. So, hey, going back to this. So now we have this rather formidable supply uh, uh, supply box here. Very heavy area of resistance. So do we believe that price is going to move up? Not in its present sense. So what we have to do now is to take a look and see, well, where is price coming? Well, now, Mr. Richard, you can start talking about, well, if price comes down here and breaks or has a break of structure, you know, do I, and let's think about it not being gold. Let's just look at it as a standard X brand pair. If this dude breaks here, that is not my entry. Although some people would think once it breaks the trend line, you could take it for a sell. I don't like doing that because of the area. There is an area of structure here on this H4 support. Here's yesterday's low. Here's the month resistance. And if I'm going to take an entry here, it's probably going to be here where I take it. And honestly, I'm looking here at this this support line here, this 33.27 here. This is probably, if you were going to take a trade, I would take it from here all the way back here, and this just happens to be the level in which price has been waddling around in gold at this 33.27 level, where it hung around here for 2 or 3 weeks. If I was going to take a gold trade here, I'd take it from here to here.
And you have
So
a flat bottom candle sitting on top of that demand box, all the way to the left.
yeah. So let's go ahead and do a sell peak here. And listen, you need to put in your notes when I put the sell peak here that we're peaking more than actually looking to get in here. But if the market conditions say, we could get in, we'll take it. But I am checking market conditions for sure because remember, I like trading gold in space. All right, here's gold here. Sell peak here for 3428.28. 3428.28. 3428.28. All right. Any questions, everybody? All right, everybody. Good job tonight. I hope if you did trade the news, I hope you got a little money. And be checking the chat. I'll let you guys know if we're going to be out for 3 a.m. I'll let you know. All right. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, my brother. Have a good night, everyone.